sports. We are Wildcats Radio 1290.
Today on Hey Culligan Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener. Here's Kevin.
Hey Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Wildcats Radio 1290. 2020 Sports.
There'll be a shootout for the Wildcats this Saturday when they host the Huskies, but the team will try to go in and improve on sustaining drives in game after struggling with 3 and outs in the first 4 games of the season. Arizona offensive coordinator Brendan Carroll said it was an emphasis in practice recently, particularly in the short yardage plays to keep those drives alive.
Yeah, we got to do better in short yardage. We have not done a good job. We've had a couple instances where we need a yard and we haven't gotten it. So that's on the O-line. That's on us. We got to do a better job and just secure the next set of downs. And always trying to stay out of third and long situations because those are just tougher. And that comes from playing well in first and second down. So it's all-encompassing attack to get that thing right.
Arizona is currently listed as an 18-point underdog to UW. Going back to yesterday's topic, it appears the Taylor Swift effect is real for Travis Kelce as the Kansas City Star tight end saw a huge boost to his jersey sales, clocking in at about 400% increase after the game where Swift was appearing in a booth in Arrowhead. Swift currently is on a break from her Eras tour, but she will start her international tour in Buenos Aires, Argentina in November. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, let's talk to the athletics director of the University of Arizona, making his weekly Tuesday appearance. Back on Tuesday this week after Thursday last week. Back home here in the old Pueblo, Dave Hickey joins the program. It is family weekend. And Dave, my first question is, when did they change the name? This used to be called Parents Weekend, and they've changed it to Family Weekend now. When did that happen? I've been saying I think it's because they wanted to be politically correct and not leave out the brothers and the sisters and all of that, so they changed it from parents to family. Is that kind of how that all went down?
Well, David, I don't know when they changed it here. It's good to be with you. You kind of throw one out of the left field there, right out of the gate. So, but I think, hey, we want to include everybody from the family. Great chance to bring moms, dads, brothers, sisters, everyone to campus to have a really fun weekend. And generally that's what happens. Most of our students have a lot of their family that comes in and enjoys the weekend, and certainly a big part of that's our football game.
Yeah, I mean, just like we mentioned last week, it's a big weekend because you're going to have the Red Blue Showcase. We'll start there on Friday, and Richard and Jefferson and Channing Frye are going to be bringing the Road Trippin' podcast to town. I'm really a celebration of this program, and we kind of have seen these types of events. They kind of began back in the 80s, but Dave, curious on what it means to see what is essentially an open practice in front of 14+ thousand fans in the arena. What does that mean to you as an athletic director?
Well, I guess it speaks volumes for the kind of fan base we have and how important this program is to Tucson and to our alums. And, that's first and foremost. I think it certainly is a big part of the culture and the identity of this area. And, we're really pleased to have the event. It's a fun night where you get to see the players in a little different light, bringing in some celebrities. You talked about Richard and Channing coming in. There's going to be some others that will appear in the house, so it's going to be fun for people. We're down to less than 2,000 tickets that remain, so we fully expect a full house and a complete sellout here within the next day or so, and it should be fun. It's just a great opportunity to celebrate our program. There are only a few. I mean, I think you could count them on one hand that can do that for essentially an open practice, sell tickets, and then sell it out. And there's not many that can do that. And that's really what's special about our program. So good way to kick off the season, tip it off, I guess you say in basketball, and get a first look at this new team.
Well, and I thought it was great there. There was an event today down on the south side. Tommy, I think this is the second year they've done this, where Tommy's kind of gone down there and to give out 1,000 tickets to folks that maybe don't have an opportunity to see their team. And it's always great to be touching all parts of the community in terms of the U of A and the folks that you want to have an opportunity to touch this ball club.
Well, for sure, and that we work really hard at that. Our staff here internally, our marketing group, we're always looking for ways to connect with the community. It's great to have head coaches that want to embrace it and go out into the community and really, shake hands and allow people to get up close, take pictures, touch them. We have that in Tommy for sure, obviously in Jed, and all of our coaches really value this community and the support that they provide us. And, it's an opportunity to go out, in this case, this afternoon and this evening, to reach out to some folks who may not always have a chance to come into McHale. They can't just decide, hey, I'll just buy season tickets or I'll buy tickets. It's a big deal. We want them to be able to experience it, bring their children and their family in. And I really commend Tommy and his wife, Chanel, who lead that effort to go into the community and to provide those complimentary tickets to people so they can come in and watch the game.
And as Dave mentioned, a limited number of seats, less than 2,000 available. 3 ways you can get tickets: ArizonaWildcats.com/MBB. That's men's basketball. Or you can call 621-CATS or visit the McHale Center ticket office to get what is remaining. And you're going to need to be in the building because this event, for the first time in recent memory, is not going to be televised. We were talking about this in our opening hour today, Dave. Will there be any type of I would imagine you guys are still going to stream the event, correct?
We won't stream the event live.
Oh.
We will capture it, and then we will distribute it in different ways. But I think this is one of the transitions that we're going to have to evolve into, certainly. But traditionally, the Pac-12 network would come in and do this. We have Pac-12 football that night. Their resources are just stretched, so we're unable to do the event through the Pac-12 network or through their platforms. And so, and going forward in the Big 12, lots of people had criticism of the Pac-12 network. But the Pac-12 network cleared every one of our conference events that was not picked up by broadcast television. And they did that as part of the deal. And there was no cost to the institutions to do that, and then distributed it on the Pac-12 platform. That's going to go away in the Big 12. And so, again, we've got to figure that out. We have a major event the next day in the football game. The ability to stream the night before, still do the things we need to do the next day. It actually is close to. It's a very difficult task for us and for our team. Not shying away from anything. It's just a reality, and so we hope people will be in the building. And again, we will certainly distribute a lot of video content for people to see things after the game, but we won't have a fully streamed event. We'll look to do that in the future. As we move into the Big 12.
Well, and I want to maybe back up to what you just said there, David, because that's interesting, and I don't think maybe a lot of people really understood the depth of the fact that moving forward and the way the Pac-12 network worked, and obviously it goes back now maybe to the thinking of when I first came to town and Arizona kind of produced themselves those other football and basketball games that weren't on the networks, whether at the time it was ESPN or whatever. U of A had to produce those. We may be looking at a similar situation now moving forward into the Big 12. And would you try to do that with all those events that aren't going to be network televised in the future?
Yeah, we'll as part of it's a different media package, different television package. As part of that, they cover the Big 12 agreement covers football, men's basketball, and a limited schedule of women's basketball. Additional events need to be produced by the institution, the host institution, and then they'll be distributed through the ESPN Plus platform. So they'll be streamed, and they'll go that way. So we won't be distributing it but yes, you're right, David. I mean, we'll have to have crews and hire people to, broadcast teams to do those events here, and then we'll distribute it to ESPN Plus. It's a different model. It's a model that will require a significant investment. And again, it's easy to pick on the Pac-12 network. There were tremendous benefits to the Pac-12 network, and I'm very pro where we're going. I also there were great benefits to the Pac-12. Different models, different negotiations, ultimately different contracts that were signed by the two leagues. But that was one of the benefits of owning and operating an entire network like the Pac-12 network as a conference. You could do a lot of stuff.
Well, and that's the one thing, Dave, that I preached forever, was that people just seem to forget that before the Pac-12 network, that they maybe thought all these games. I mean, the Pac-12 network put softball and baseball on the air regularly. That was not happening before the Pac-12 network. So I never understood people that criticize the network for what it was, because it gave us a whole lot more viewership of our teams than fans had prior to that.
There's no question. And hey, let me step back. I think we'll both agree. I won't argue that distribution was a problem and there were other issues, but to have a wholly, designed and outfitted television production company, there was great benefit to that.
Absolutely. Hey, Dave, I wanna. The last home game I thought was fabulous. You guys had a celebration of the heritage sports, and when I say heritage sports, for those that don't know, those are the sports that are no longer around here at the University of Arizona. Sports that competed for a number of years in the 20s and the 30s. I mean, from badminton to wrestling to synchronized swimming, a lot of those athletes were back for the UTEP game. How great was that to have those athletes back? And I want to ask you if you ever get calls to people that said, would you ever consider bringing one of those sports back?
Well, the quick answer is yes. To your second part there, certainly, why wouldn't they? I mean, they're very passionate. They were student athletes here, have great passion for the sport that they played, that we no longer. They're termed a heritage sport. They are one of our sports. Let's be clear on that. We designate them as a heritage sport because they're not currently a varsity level sport that we offer at Arizona. But they're part of our history, our tradition. We're always going to celebrate them. They're always a sport that we'll celebrate. I think we had 11 or 12 of them, as you mentioned: archery, badminton, fencing, field hockey, lacrosse, gymnastics, water polo. Wrestling, synchronized swim, and rifle. I think we even had polo, the traditional polo that you play on a horse. So all those we celebrate, and those are big parts of who we are. So, but there's definitely a passion about them, and they'd like us to add that back. I think right now we're not in that mode to add many more sports, but we're always going to celebrate those sports and what they contributed.
Joined by Dave Hickey, the athletics director for the University of Arizona. A big week just across campus, Dave. The university, again, made some history with the return of the OSIRIS-REx mission capsule that collected materials from an asteroid. I have people ask me all the time, like they see, and they say that the big the Mears facility that's connected to the stadium, and people always wonder why that was put in that particular location. Is that a question you can answer? Like why that was connected to the stadium like that?
I don't know all the history. I mean, it was an area that was designated that that could be added on to the stadium, and that's a good one, David. How about we'll chalk it up. We'll do a little research and we'll get an answer for everyone. I'm sure there's listeners that know the answer, but they're it's really neat how they're embedded into our stadium, along with we talked about this before, a residential hall, a dormitory that's in our stadium. So it's an active environment, and we are a space science school, one of the best in the world here. Take great pride in what happened over the last couple of days, and with the NASA missions, and there's so much space. We have a number of astronauts that have graduated from the University of Arizona. It's a big part of who we are, and it leads. This is not just something we talk about in Arizona. I mean, people understand this around the world of how big of a deal it is, and how big the University of Arizona plays in our space and in the exploration of space, and as we go forward. So this event with OSIRIS-REx was a big, where they've collected some materials from an asteroid, was just an incredible thing. They're going to analyze those and start to do some scientific work on them.
David, give us one final word out to Wildcat Nation for this week.
Well, hey, we didn't really talk about it too much because we got into some other great ones, but a big football game this weekend. We've got about 1,000 tickets left. I'm going to sell that out It's been a long time since we've had two sellouts in back-to-back years around here. And it is an exciting weekend with Parents Weekend and all that's going on, the Red-Blue game. Great weekend to celebrate Wildcat Athletics. So hope everybody will find their way to the stadium and find their way into McHale, and let's have a lot of fun. Bear down, go Cats.
Outstanding, Dave. Appreciate your time as always.
All right, take care.
Dave Hickey, he is the athletics director at the University of Arizona. Dragon Ball is back. We'll find out what happened with soccer in our next hour. This is DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening. I think we're back up in streaming again, too, so that's a good thing. Let's hope things don't explode. You're listening to Wildcats Radio and watching on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Traffic on Alvernon Way south of Los Reales closed. Blocked off Alvernon Way south of Los Reales closed due to an investigation and a collision. Other wrecks reported Grant Road and Dodge Boulevard, Swan and Grant, and also First Avenue and Roger Road. 70 are low and 101 expected tomorrow and 100 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by eBay Motors. You do anything to keep your vehicle happy. Let's make sure it stays running smoothly. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, the right parts are just a click away. When you see the green check, you know that part will fit. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
This is Jim Rome with your Rome Report. Let me start today by giving Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals this much. They did what they had to do. It wasn't
Wildcats football with Brian Jeffries behind the mic on your home of the Arizona Wildcats. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Wildcats Radio 1290. 2020 Sports.
Tommy Lloyd talked about the team's return to the States after their long trip overseas, as now the Arizona men's basketball team will focus on the final year in the Pac-12 Conference. Tommy Lloyd said the depth of the Wildcats this season showed itself during the exhibition games, but it won't be a dilemma for the upcoming season.
Well, it's not a dilemma. I feel like last year, when I kind of, self-assess, maybe I sliced the roster a little too thin last year, and, which can work, and it certainly has worked for others, and, I've been on teams where it has worked. But, it maybe last year it was a little bit, it kind of showed itself at the end, and I felt like, I owed it to the program to increase our margin for error. And, so one of the ways was, adding more depth. And I'm excited. I think we have great guys that are, about the right thing. And, managing, a lot of good players is a good thing. But more importantly, you're managing great people. And, great people that are a part of a great organization understand there'll probably be some sacrifices that come along the way.
Arizona will show what they have for the fans in the upcoming Red and Blue game this Friday at McHale Center. No team looks more ready for change this winter than the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, as the team could lose star two-way player Shohei Ohtani as he enters free agency this offseason. But their other star in Mike Trout looks ready to wear an Angels uniform again. Trout said he has talks with owner Artie Moreno and President John Carpino, and he says that he's going into this offseason to clear his mind, and he is, quote, ready for spring wearing an Angels uniform. Trout still has 7 years left on his current contract. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Mount Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
Guess who's back? Back again. Davy's back. Tell your friends. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Dragon Ball is back from campus. And the University of Arizona soccer team press conference. Welcome back, David. Anything exciting out at with the ladies as they get ready to head up to the Bay Area, make their trip to the Bay Area this weekend?
Well, really, it's just going to be a matter of the team getting ready for that last season of Pac-12 play on the road. This is going to be that one of those last few trips that the girls are going to have an opportunity to go out to the Bay Area, going against Cal and Stanford this weekend. 2 traditional teams that in the soccer world of the Pac-12 have usually been a very big mainstay at the top of the conference, but so far this season, it's been a good show by the offense for Arizona. Becca Morris made it very clear that their whole goal is to attack early, attack often, and they did that with a goal in the first 14 minutes against Oregon as they shut them out. Hope Heisey, we keep talking about her and her ascension to the top of the Wildcat goalkeeper ranks. She only had to make 3 saves in that game. So this team is starting to find a really good move with their offense. Got 3 goals, 2 of them in the second half there. And then they just kept Oregon from getting any kind of comfortable looks. How they're going to do against Cal and Stanford, well, that remains to be seen. I did hear that Miss Chelf, she got hurt in the last game. Megan Chelf, she got hurt, but she looks like she'll be ready to go. They're still waiting for a full report on Trinity to see how she's going to be bouncing back from the injury she had in that game as well. But likelihood is that Becca Morrow said she's a real tough customer, so she expects to hear a good report back from her doctors when she gets back onto the field later on this week.
All right, the preseason coaches poll in the Pac-12 for women's soccer, 12 coaches, 9 of those coaches voted for UCLA as the top team, as you might expect. The other 3 first-place votes went to Stanford. So your top 6 teams as ranked this year in the coaches' preseason poll: UCLA, Stanford, USC, California, Washington State, Arizona. So the Wildcats are going to take on 2 of the teams that are expected to be At the top of this conference, first week in the books, Stanford, UCLA, USC, Arizona State, Arizona, California were all the winners. They won their initial games. Everybody only played one game in the opening weekend. Those were the teams that won. So your Bay Area schools, your Los Angeles schools, and your Arizona schools all won on opening weekend. Colorado, Washington State, Washington, Utah, Oregon State, and Oregon all lost their openers. And the Wildcats took care of business against the Ducks, who are winless on the soccer side this season, 0-7-2.
Those two schools you mentioned are also the two reigning national champions, right? UCLA last year, Stanford 2 years ago.
Yes, that would be correct, yeah.
You know, Stanford's tied for second most national championships all time with
like
3.
For every sport or for soccer?
No, for women's soccer.
Women's soccer.
3. Florida State also has 3. Notre Dame has 3. Those teams are tied.
I would think North Carolina would
second.
have. I'd have thought, if you'd have asked me that question, I would have thought it was North Carolina.
No, those 3 teams are tied for second all time,
second.
and they all have 3.
I see.
And North Carolina has 21 national championships. Yeah, North Carolina pretty dominant over the years.
I was not listening quite clear enough. I was like, wait a minute.
You know
North
what's funny,
Carolina,
though?
don't they have like 15 or
The
16?
Tar Heels have not won in over 10 years. It's been over 10. 2012 was the last time the Tar Heels won the women's soccer national championship.
Yes. Greg Thompson checks in on Twitter, says, I heard the U of A is not streaming the Red-Blue game. Greg, you are correct. Dave Hickey, the athletics director, just confirmed that for us. Again, this Red-Blue showcase will not be televised by the Pac-12 network, and it will not be streamed by the U of A. So they'll offer it. He said they'll disseminate it through social platforms. I don't know if that'll be the whole thing or just clips of it. I would imagine probably just clips. I don't know that they'll disseminate the whole thing on any platform.
Well, usually they have a dunk contest and things like that.
Right.
Right.
So
And so
show
like,
highlights
clearly, they'll have some of that stuff on the social medias for sure.
Exactly. But the best way to see it is to be inside of the building. And like Mr. Hickey said, there are still 2,000 tickets left for you to be able to do that. All right, we gave you our question of the day for today, and we'll go back. Well, Dragon Ball was here yesterday, so he's already kind of chimed in on this. Our question of the day for today: if you were Jedd Fisch, we like to play that game. If you were Jedd Fisch and U of A wins the coin toss, do you elect to receive or defer your decision to the second half? David, right now, 89% of people saying that they would defer their decision to the second half. Does that surprise you?
Not at all, because this is the thing that I feel this is getting lost in the shuffle between the who has more possessions and things like that. In football, it's one of the few sports where you can't get back-to-back possessions because the other team has to hold on to the ball for at least one play. So in basketball, you can steal an inbound. You can get back-to-back possessions that way. Hockey, it's a little bit more bizarre because I don't know if you want to count when a goalie kicks off a puck from the pad to say that that's a change of possession or just you get another possession after that on a rebound. But in football, another team has to hold the ball for at least one play. You can't really have a situation where you have back-to-back possessions in football.
I would love for you to go into baseball. Tell us how baseball works.
Well, you have to have the 3 outs, and then the other team has 3
Right,
outs.
but who's got possession? Is it the pitcher or is it the batter?
I'd say it has to be the pitcher because he's the one with the ball at the
That
start
makes
of
sense
every
to me.
play.
We'll go with that.
But the other part about this, DK, and I'm kind of glad that I came in at this point of the show. That way the question of the day had time to air. The thing that gets lost in the shuffle about this, it doesn't matter how many possessions you have. It's the result of the possessions that you get. Right now, we've had a lot of issues. We've been talking about it, and Brendan Carroll mentioned it in his press conference today. The team has not done well in short yardage. We've noticed that there's been a couple of 3-and-outs during their games that they've had for the Arizona football team so far this season. In the end, I don't care if Arizona has 12, 13, 8, however many possessions they can get in a game. What I want to see is points at the end of every possession.
Yes.
If you punt the ball, you're giving the team another chance to score. Doesn't matter if you give them possession, they get the chance to score. And on defense, you got the chance to score. You just got to catch the ball. And
I know that we had I know you had the discussion at that press conference about Bobo. What was it? Bobo in the end?
Bobo.
Yeah.
Bobo is Tacario Davis. If you all wanted to know Tacario Davis's nickname, it is Bobo. That has come up twice in the last 2 weeks. I had no idea. I was like, who the hell is Bobo? So I asked Brian Peterson yesterday. I said, do you know who Bobo? I asked the SID folks, they were not aware. I asked Brian Peterson. He was pretty sure it was Tacario Davis, and we found out for sure today it was indeed Tacario Davis.
Maybe he just really likes breakfast food.
It's possible. It's possible.
On that note, guys, there were 7 first half possessions, and 4 of them were 2 minutes or less. 2 of them were less than a minute, 3 and out. So we talk about moving the chains. DK said he wants 5 touchdowns.
How many touchdowns?
5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns.
We're going the Booker T route. 5 times. 5 times. 5 times. 5 times.
5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns.
I think the other part of it also, DK, let's also say this. I will gladly have a game where Arizona only would have 7 or 8 possessions if one of those possessions is an 8-minute drive.
Exactly.
That is methodical.
10. How about 7 possessions and all of them are 10 plays or more? Like the 3 and outs is really under 1 minute 3 and out. That's the issues that I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at that first half. What if I told you this, Dragon Ball? They've only scored in the first quarter once, and that was versus the Lumberjacks.
Against my alma mater, yeah. That makes sense.
All right, the 4th member of our team is joining us right now. Cricket, the last time you were here, we were talking about concerts and Ava Amphitheater and all kinds of fun stuff. I tell you what, I told Cricket when she was here before, Dragon Ball, I said, a Yachtly Crew's coming to town. Okay, so I work at a radio station now. I haven't taken advantage. Like if we, the radio station, do we have tickets and stuff here at the radio station? So I gotta see if I can get me some tickets to the. Oh my goodness!
I have tickets for you.
Wait! What is this? Are you serious?
Yes.
That
makes me so happy. You're so excited.
Oh my God!
That makes me happy.
Holy mackerel, folks! Look at that. Yachtly Crew tickets.
You're going, bro.
Asking ye shall receive. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow. Where did you get Cricket's got tickets, ladies and gentlemen.
I must credit Rodney and Carrie for making it happen.
My guy Rodney and my girl Carrie.
They made it happen.
They are awesome. How about that?
Don't get used to that, though. It usually never happens that fast. Like, usually there's some paperwork involved. You have to wait a little time. You have to wait till the tickets come in. So that was a very lucky moment.
Man, 4 tickets to see Yachtly Crew on Sunday, October the 8th at the Ava Amphitheater. This is awesome. And Ambrosia.
Yes.
Yes. Wasted away again in Margarita. Yeah. I think I found out today, J-Dub, there's a sheet we have to fill out when we play all this music.
Well, this is a live Yachtly Crew tribute to Jimmy Buffett, so I think it'll be okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I don't know. I got a thing that we got to fill out a sheet. Nobody told me. We've been doing this show for 3 months. I'm just finding out things that I probably should have been told in week 1. But that's awesome, Cricket. Thank you to you.
Welcome.
Thank you to Rodney and Carrie for Yacht League. Now I got to find somebody to go with because I think my wife's not going to be here. She's going to be out of town, so I might have to do a contest for people to go with me to this contest.
That'll be a fun contest.
Go see Yachtly Crew with DK. We might have to work on that right there.
You'd be fun.
That'll be fun. Yeah. Are you going now? Or did you get any?
Don't know.
They give you any tickets?
I normally volunteer on Sundays.
Oh,
so
okay,
I probably,
that's right.
Yeah.
Dog walking and all kinds. Did you win anything this past weekend?
No, I did not. No, not this weekend.
Nothing happening in Apple. You didn't go back down to defend your title this week at Apple Annie's?
Nope.
No?
No.
Okay. Does that stand for an entire year?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you and your nephew will go win next year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the 5s. Don't forget, Cricket is going to have tickets on Friday as well to Arizona and Washington. So she'll have a good question for you to have to answer to get those tickets with us down at Bear Down Fridays. But right now, she's going to get you home with your traffic.
And from the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together. Still that closure on the south side. Alvernon, south of Los Reales. Travel closed due to a collision and a current investigation. Alvernon closed south of Los Reales. Other wrecks reported Ina west of Old Father, Cortera west of I-10 and also Grant Road and Dodge Boulevard. 70 as the low, 101 tomorrow and 99 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
wins, with the magic number being 6 with just the White Sox and the Astros left on their schedule. The series currently going on today in Chicago. Of the teams still alive in the wild card race, the Diamondbacks hold a tiebreaker over the Cubs, but the Phillies, Reds, and Marlins all hold tiebreakers over Arizona. Well, the Jets have elected to sign a new quarterback, with their troubles on offense only seeming to grow, as the team has officially signed Trevor Siemian to their practice squad pending a physical before looking to promote him to the active roster. Head coach Robert Saleh said the team is still fully behind Wilson. Many others in New York seem to be done with him, including Jets Hall of Fame quarterback Joe Namath, who had a very direct approach about how he would handle Zach Wilson.
Send him to Kansas City to back up against somebody like Mahomes, maybe he'd learn something. I wouldn't keep him. You know, I've seen enough of Zach Wilson, all right? I've seen enough. Has quick feet, can throw a little bit, but I don't believe what's going on up there. What do you got to start over? Now, Mr. Johnson, hey, these guys aren't picking the right players. They're not doing a good job of coaching. It's evident. I mean, you got to look and see. If you have an eye about football at all, you see things are haywire. It's too crazy. They need to fix it, and that's getting rid of a lot of people and bringing new ones in.
Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, the Jets will be facing off with the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football this week. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
It's the 5 o'clock hour, and it's time for our Arizona Insiders.
Am I late? No, my boy, you're just in time.
Each weekday, Wildcats Radio 1290 brings you all the latest news and opinions on U of A football and the Pac-12. So bear down, Tucson, and let's talk Arizona football. Our Arizona Insiders are brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day at Arizona.
Breaking down Arizona Wildcats football, I am David Kelly, joined once again by Glenn Howe, U of A football class of 1985. Arizona, of course, went up to Stanford and got a win over the Cardinal, 21-20. And Glenn, let's dive into this ball game after watching the tape. And one of the things that stood out to me, I went back last night and basically just watched all the offensive series from this ball game, and it was clear to me that there's a hesitation with Jayden de Laura right now, and I don't know if that's a result of what happened in the game against Mississippi State and the 3 interceptions, but I just felt like there were opportunities for him to throw the ball in the middle of the field at times in that game, and he just, for whatever reason, did not feel comfortable doing that. And that's something that he and this coaching staff are going to have to work through, because the thing that has made Jayden de Laura is his ability to play freely, and it just seems like the last 2 weeks he has not played with that same free abandon, good or bad, that we have seen from him in the past.
Man, I just want to know if Dr. Phil's available because I think it's all in Jayden's head. I think he needs to just get his mind right and just trust his instincts and just let it loose, man. I think he really, because I saw the same thing and watching the game again. There was a couple opportunities over the middle with Cowie and also McMillan. He just got to let it loose, and I think he's almost looks like he's picking his receivers out before the play even starts. So, he has to get through that, and that's about a mindset, And sometimes when you go through a rut, you got to really be mentally tough to get out of it.
And I think I've already found the key to this game coming up, Glenn. The key to this game coming up is 5 touchdowns. I talked about it in the first hour of our show today. The Washington Huskies last year lost back-to-back games in the Pac-12 on the road. They lost at UCLA. They lost at Arizona State. Both of those games, the Bruins and the Sun Devils put up 40-plus points. UCLA scored 40. Arizona State scored 45. They did so by scoring 5 touchdowns. That's what has to happen in this ball game. The Wildcats have only scored, I think they scored 5 touchdowns against Arizona State, but they have not had a whole lot of games in the last 10 or so where they were able to get to that mark. They had scored 4 touchdowns in Mississippi State. I believe it's only 3 in the other wins. They've got to get to 5 touchdowns in this game on Saturday to have any shot. And I'm not saying 5 touchdowns is going to get them a win, but it'll at least put them in a place where they've got a shot to win.
Well, Dave, this is the 5th game. Where is that explosive offense? I'm just waiting for it. I don't know. You can't hide any of your plays now. Okay, it should be all out on the table. Let's see what we have and let's go with it. We got to put everything that we have in our book and put it out for this game because I think we can run the ball against these guys. I think all the guys that we're talking, let's use the guys that we say that they're the first rounders that are walking around in the facility. Let's use those big guys. Let's get it and let's run the football. If we run the football against these guys, which I think they can, they're averaging about 125 on the ground. They're giving up on the ground every game, and I think that we can possibly run the ball against them, and then we can set up our play action, which we want to do because that's what we run, a pro-style offense, so we run a lot of play action. So we need to have all the stops pulled for this game. This game has got to be everything is on the table.
Glenn, we kind of hinted to it over the course of the last couple of weeks, but I'll ask you the question again. Do you think they're holding something back offensively? Do you think that they felt like, look, that we're good enough to get through this schedule without this first part of the schedule, with this first quarter, because 4 games out of 12, so you're through the first quarter now, not necessarily having to show a lot. And then what happened maybe was they showed some more in the game against Mississippi State, and that didn't go as well as they had hoped. So it was almost like they said to themselves, let's just not show a whole lot over these next 2 games, work on things behind the scenes, and then we'll debut with whatever we're going to debut with when Washington gets to town on September the 29th.
Well, Dave, I hope you're right. I hope you're right because we need to have a coming out party, okay? Because, like I said, there's nothing else to be held back now. We're in the Pac-12, because for me, the Stanford game, that should have been like a foot on the neck of Stanford and really take advantage of how Stanford is down, okay? And I thought we should have really dominated that game, and we really didn't. We just really didn't. It was kind of a weird, sloppy win game. I thought it wasn't a dominant game. You could talk about the numbers all you want, but it just wasn't a dominant game from the eyes, from watching the game. We need to get back to that and run the football and really. And I think, like you said, I think we need to score at least 38 points. Okay. In this game, I think that should be a good thing because I think our defense is playing so much better. I think our defense is playing just maybe 75% better than we did last year because we just really have some good players on that defensive side of the ball that are getting better and better every game.
Glenn Howe joining us here. He is our Arizona Insiders, brought to you by Coors Light. Coors Light is an official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. Coors Light, there's nothing like game day at Arizona. Game day at Arizona will be this Saturday against the number 7 Washington Huskies. Glenn, should we be concerned with this passing game that third receiver, and again, I go back to say when I say third receiver, I mean third wide receiver. That third receiver has not necessarily emerged to the level that we thought. Montana Lamonius Craig has just 8 catches compared with the top 2 guys, Jacob Cowing, who has 28, and Tetro McMillan, who has 21. Should we be concerned that they haven't been able to get Montana Lamonius Craig more involved in this offense through 4 games?
No, absolutely not. I don't think that's a concern. I really don't think that's a concern because you know what? Sometimes he just may not be open, and sometimes he's just not getting open. and sometimes he may be open and they missed him. And Jaden has really not been as consistent as he could be. Okay, so we don't know if it's the passing game or if it's Jaden, or we just don't know right now what the things that are happening on the passing game. What I think it is that Jaden is just not really as confident as he seems to be. He appears, he gives out that confidence, but I really don't think he has that confidence right now, and he needs to find that confidence back. And I think with Noah, if Noah plays this week, I'm real confident that he's going to be in there and he's going to throw the ball around the yard. I think he'll do a great job. I think he's very, very confident on what he does, and I think he knows the playbook, and he's a smart kid.
3.5 sacks so far for Taylor Upshaw, Glenn, as we switch over to the defensive side. That's 3.5 sacks so far in 4 games. So if you spread that out over 12 games, that would be a double-digit sack season for a defensive end, and that's something we haven't seen around these parts in a long time. 2 of those sacks came in the game against Stanford. What are you seeing from Taylor Upshaw that impresses you?
I like his tenacity, his will to not stop try to get to the quarterback. Because sometimes he gets close, and then he comes back again. Then he keeps on coming, and then he uses a different move. So he's constantly trying to get to the quarterback, which you're supposed to do. Yes, you're supposed to do, but he does not quit. He's not a quitter. So sometimes you see guys will take plays off and everything, but he's seeing around. I think what these guys on this D line are seeing, man, all these guys are playing pretty good, so I got to play good every time I get in. So the competition is raising the level of play of the players, okay? All these guys are playing so good. This defense, just think of this defense and what they're doing. They're averaging giving up 95 yards on the ground a game. I know we haven't played some of the big teams, the great schedule and everything, but that's last year we were giving up like 7,000 a game. I mean, it was ridiculous, and we're giving up only 95 a game. We have changed the attitude on that defense. You can just tell the attitude on that defense is totally different.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out so far this weekend or this coming weekend against the number 7 team in the country, the Washington Huskies. It is Wildcat Breakdown. Glenn Howe is our Arizona insider. We're going to continue with more from Glenn straight ahead. We'll hand out some game balls for the 5th time in the last 7 games. As we told you on Saturday night, that's right, the Wildcats have won 5 of their last 7 games, which means we've been handing out game balls left and right. We will do that. I'll give you Kelvin's. We'll hear from Glenn's. I'll give you mine. All that and more straight ahead. But first, we want to make sure we get you home with your traffic and your weather every 20 minutes on the 5s. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together. With a collision on I-10 near Ruthroff, El Camino del Cerro on westbound I-10 approaching Ruthroff, and some freeway backups as well for westbound I-10 as you approach Ruthroff. Alvernon Way south of Los Reales, travel is closed due to a wreck. Watch for crashes clearing. Ina west of Old Father and also Cortero west of I-10. And I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic.
We're looking for Tucson's ugliest cars. Even if it's not working, bring it to Jim Click and Holmes Tuttle and get a minimum $3,000 towards one of our 1,000 vehicles. For details, visit jimclick.com or call 520-690-5012.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. If you're like many people, you may think custom blinds is a job for expensive professionals. Well, at Blindster, if you have a tape measure and a screwdriver, you can install our custom blinds and save big. Plus, we guarantee they'll fit. Blindster.com.
License 240693.
Broken AC?
It should be fixed.
Broken furnace?
Gotta fix.
2020 sports.
Arizona coach Jonathan Gannon got his first win as the leader on the sideline last week and now prepares for his club against the San Francisco 49ers. It still will be Josh Dobbs under center for the team, and Gannon said that he wasn't surprised by Dobbs' ability to run out of the pocket to get yards, seeing that in the past previous spots that he's seen and coached Josh Dobbs, and especially during Cardinals practice.
No, I know he's fast. He's a mobile quarterback that can move and extend plays and make plays out of the pocket too. Some of those are design runs, some of those are tucks it and goes. But that's a integral part today, in my opinion, of offenses that play is the quarterback's legs, and we got to keep helping them out with that. And as a defense, you have to be aware of that and defend it properly. We saw us learn from that a week ago or two. So it's huge for our offense because it gives us some versatility and gives us another weapon that we can, deploy when the scheme would say that. And he's done a good job with it.
Arizona will have their hands full against the 49ers defense, which sits third in yards allowed per game this season. While running back for the Giants, Saquon Barkley, missed the team's last Thursday night game against those 49ers, the team has listed their star back as now day-to-day. He continues to recover from a recent ankle injury. The team does not have him practicing today, but he is expected to be more involved later in the week as he attempts to be ready for Monday night against the Seahawks. At your 2020 Sports Update, we'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Breaking down Arizona Wildcats football, rejoined by Glenn Howe, U of A football class of 1985. Arizona getting set to take on the number 7 team in the country, the Washington Huskies. Time to hand out some game balls. And let me give you first the ones that Kelvin Ifan is handing out this week on offense. He is going with Jonah Coleman, who had an outstanding game running for 75 yards on 12 carries, averaged 6 yards a clip. Defense, he's going with Jacob Manu. Jacob Manu continues to be one of the top tacklers in the Pac-12 conference. 12 more tackles. A tackle and a half for loss, including half a sack. He also had 2 quarterback hurries in the ball game. And for special teams, he is Kelvin Ifan with the punt team this week. The punt team came through, and I'll talk about why I couldn't give it to the punt team myself, because I think, Glenn, you're going in that direction as well. But the punt team did come through this weekend with a couple of punts downed inside the 20-yard line, so not a bad job by them. Glenn, who are you handing out game balls to this week?
Well, on the defensive side of the ball, I got Mr. Taylor Upshaw with 2 sacks and had a great game. And you have to give an extra ball to Manu. You have to. It was like a have-to ball. You just have to give it to him. Okay, and then you got to give it to and then on the offensive side of the ball, I'm giving to the running back. You got your top guy, Michael Wiley goes down, okay, and he goes down, and what do the other guys do? They step up to the plate, and that's what we want them to do. Every single one of the guys, they all said, "Hey, man, our top dog, it went down. We got to pick up the slack." And Jonah came in there and picked up the slack. DJ had 11 for 39. Rayshawn Luke, I'm telling you, he's on the cusp of breaking one. The guy's he's going to break one. I hope he breaks one Saturday because we're going to need one Saturday. But it's just really the backs has done a great job. And then Mr. Ossendorf, I gave him for on the special teams because he did get that ball inside the 20. He's kicked some in the 20, and he's doing a good job. His average is not the greatest, okay, but he's efficient, and they're covering the kicks and they're getting them in, and he got a ball inside the 20, which was crucial for us.
All right, so I'm going to tell you why I was kind of, Kyle Ossendorf was on my list, but I opted not to give it to him this week. And the reason I opted not to give it to him this week was because he shanked the first punt. And then the second punt was the one that Jed kind of talked about. They got down to the 36-yard line, and they were hoping to try to pin him inside the 10 with that punt there, and he bounced into the end zone. Now, obviously, that's not always the punter's fault, but I don't know. Martell Irby was the Wildcat down there. I don't think he had a really good shot to try to down that ball, so I kind of gave that to Ostendorp as a miss on that. He did obviously put now they have the one stat I'm looking at. He only had one inside the 20, but I do believe he had two inside the 20. So I went with, I'm going to go again, because you can't, we're not getting any returns this year on anything.
No.
You're not getting any kick returns. You're not getting any punt returns. Yeah. So you almost either have to go with the kickers or the holder. I do want to shout out Kyle. I do want to shout out Kyle Ostendorp for one snap hold he had in the UTEP game that I thought that it was on a I believe it was on a extra point. It was a snap hold that was low and in on his body, but he did a really great job of securing it and getting it down quick for Tyler Loop to make the extra point. But I'm going with Tyler Loop again for me in terms of my special teams game ball. Just continues to pound balls, four more touchbacks in this ball game, and continues to not allow teams to have any chance to return footballs. So he gets my special teams game ball. I'm going with you, Glenn, on defense. Tyler Upshaw, I'm more judicious. I only generally hand out one ball aside. Tyler Upshaw gets my defensive game ball for his 2-sack performance. And then I'm going with Jonah Coleman on offense, who led that group of running backs. You kind of took the route of Jed Fish. Jed Fish gave game balls to the entire running back room. I'm going to give mine to Jonah Coleman for his performance of 75 yards and really kind of leading that brigade at 6.3 yards a clip in that ball game to get the Wildcats the 21-20 win over the Stanford Cardinal. All right, Washington comes to town. We talked a little bit about this at the top of this segment. This is a team that can move the football. J.W. Madden had a great stat that he was telling me in the break, Glenn, that Michael Penix Jr. has thrown for 300 yards in every game. He's thrown for 3 touchdowns or more in every game, and he's thrown every game this season or completed passes at a 70% clip in every game. Those are pretty impressive numbers.
Those are absolutely great numbers, but we have to. How are we gonna deter that? How are we gonna change that up? How are we gonna to get to Penix? That's what we have to do. We have to be able to get. We got to put pressure on Penix. We got to make sure he gets off his spot, and we got to be able to sack him. If we can sack him and rattle him a little bit. I think we can do it because this is the first time I have a little confidence that we have some guys up front that can get to the quarterback. We have had a lot of TFLs. We've had a lot of some sacks and stuff. We had more than we've had in the last 4 or 5 years combined, I think. So I'm getting a little confident I think these guys on defense are getting more and more confident about themselves. And, our corners playing better. I saw Coach Richardson in the Costco yesterday. I saw him yesterday and said, hey, man, your guys are doing a great job out there. I said, they're getting better. He goes, we got to go to work. He just said that they have to go to work every day, and they're not satisfied. Those guys are not satisfied, which is a good thing.
Well, you mentioned sacks. I mean, those are going to be tough to come by against this team and this particular quarterback. Michael Penix Jr. Does not get sacked very often. In fact, he has been sacked just one time all season long. It's going to be tough to get to him. Like you said, you got to try to at least maybe move him, but getting to him is going to be a very, very difficult task in this ball game on Saturday. But at least if you move him, you've got a chance to maybe potentially, coerce him into making some mistakes and throwing the football. But like Johnny Nansen came out and said on Tuesday, you got to catch the ball. Defensively, you got to be able to catch the ball if there's an opportunity to get those turnovers in a game like this.
Absolutely. Have to have great hands on defense also, and then just, you look at the teams they played: Boise State, Tulsa, Michigan State, and California. And Arizona State. No, they played California. Yeah, and California. I think that we have some better defenses than those guys. I honestly believe that. I think because our defense has played better. I think our defense has done a great job, and we just if he sits on his point and sits there back in the pocket and has a cup of tea and then throws it, it's going to be an ugly night for us. So we're going to have to find some creative blitzes and some creative schemes that we're going to have to do to get to this guy.
All right, Glenn, who we got coming up in the huddle on Saturday from the U of A Mall?
Oh, we got Sean Harris, man.
Wow.
We got one of the guys.
He knows a little something about beating Washington in a big game.
Oh, yeah, he does. He absolutely does. He played against that number one team, and they came in and they beat them with, Lincoln Kennedy, Napoleon Kaufman. All those guys are on that team. I talked to Sean today. It's going to be a pleasure to have him in. He was one of the best linebackers to ever play at the University of Arizona. Had a great career at the Chicago Bears. His son's now playing. Jalen's playing with the Chicago Bears. He's on the practice squad there. So, it's going to be a great time to have a conversation with him in the huddle with Howell.
All right, Glenn, we will see you on Saturday.
Saturday. We start at 3.
2:30. 2:30 on Saturday.
2:30.
Yep.
2:30 on Saturday, man. 2:30. We're getting ready for that. I'm excited about that game. We're gonna have a sold out crowd. People are gonna be out, and we should have a great crowd out there. And let's do it to the Huskies again. They're coming in there really highly ranked, and they're probably thinking they're just gonna come in here and steamroll us. But we gotta play that Arizona ball, man. We gotta do what we do. We usually get one a year, and this might be the one.
Let's hope so. Thanks, Glenn.
All right. Okay, we'll see you.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
All right, thanks to Glenn Howe for joining us today. Wildcat Breakdown. Been doing it with Glenn since 2010. Well, interestingly enough, we were talking to Dave Hickey. That was back when the University of Arizona Athletic Department actually was still producing their own football and basketball games, the ones that weren't picked up by the network that we were talking about. That's how Glenn kind of became a part of this whole thing. He was hired as the sideline reporter for the TV broadcast back with, I believe it was Dave Sitton and John Fina, if I'm not mistaken, were in the booth, and Glenn was on the sideline, and they broadcast the games that weren't picked up by any of the networks. And that might be something that we're looking at again with this new situation in the Big 12. So, again, there's major positives to go into the Big 12 conference. I've felt like, though, that this is what we talked about today was potentially one of the negatives, is that, you don't have your own network. You don't have a network that's producing all these games for you across all of your sports. And we may not see as many as many of the Olympic sports on TV as we once have.
As you said, though, DK, it's an opportunity for a lot of those students.
Yeah,
right?
if they give it to them.
Potentially.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. ESPN Plus, that's how some schools have done that. We'll get into more of that. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks to J-Dub. Thanks to Cricket, who had tickets to Yachtly Crew. Dragon Ball David Ahmad, most of all, thanks to you for listening. I'm David Kelly. This is DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather.